What's up, y'all? If you don't know me, my name's August, but some of you might know me online as the Gus Bus. I do like to think that I'm a pretty prominent figure of the FTM fitness community, though apparently not prominent enough to have appeared in the video that I'm going to be responding to. Whether or not I should take that personally, it's neither here nor there, and it's up for debate, and I'm just being silly. But first, I kind of want to give some context to who I am and where I've been in my experience. I've been coaching and training since 2018, and I earned a master's degree in research of exercise science from Northumbria University in Newcastle, England, where I also transitioned during COVID. Not recommended. I am also NASM certified and was previously certified as a certified functional strength coach through Mike Boyle's program, who's over on the East Coast. Over the past few years, the bulk of my work has been primarily online, where I coach trans and queer folks, for the most part, not always. Which means I'm not just observing FTM fitness conversations from the outside, I'm actively a part of this space, both professionally and personally. I recently stumbled across this video by That Brown Guy, who argues that a growing segment of trans fitness influencers, such as myself, are profiting off of trans men or trans masculine folks' dysphoria rather than genuinely helping them. They argue that while fitness can be an affirming and a powerful experience, these programs often weaponize the insecurities we feel about our masculinity and wanting to pass in order to sell our expensive coaching. Of course, no matter how I approach this video, I absolutely will have some bias. As someone who markets my services towards trans and queer folks online, I believe in what I do, and for good reasons that I'll be laying out in this response video. Ultimately though, what I really want the watcher to take away from this video is me exposing the realities behind how the fitness industry works, regardless of your gender or sexual orientation. In other words, it doesn't matter if you're trans or cis, looking to work with a trainer in person or online, the standards of practice are relatively similar across the board. And to do that, I'm going to be incredibly transparent about my own business practices so you as a consumer can get an idea as to what operations look like for an online coach such as myself. In my rebuttal, I'll go over 3 main points that Brown Guy covers and why I disagree, but also somewhat agree with some of the things that they're saying. The first being marketing and the focus FTM Fitness has on targeting young trans masculine individuals through certain marketing practices. The second being the claims of price gouging and lack of transparency overall with our pricing. And lastly, what a lot of folks feel is a lack of individualized programming through these coaches. First, let's focus on marketing and get an understanding for how marketing works in the fitness industry and just an overall basic level of marketing in general. That Brown Guy states in their video that online trainers such as myself that market directly towards trans masculine folks are weaponizing their dysphoria against them. And to be totally fair, I get and understand why it comes across that way. Again, in an effort to be as transparent as possible, and some folks may not like my answer to this issue here, is that marketing at its core, no matter what industry, looks to speak to the consumer's pain points. At a basic level, marketing psychology focuses on the emotions, the social identity, and the cognitive biases that consumers have to drive purchasing decisions from their targeted demographic. So yeah, That Brown Guy is right in this regard, but I also kind of disagree. I and any other coach, no matter cis or trans, seek to solve your pain points with our coaching. The same pain points that I had and still sometimes have as a trans person are the things that I'm looking to help you solve. I know how my skills and experiences have dramatically impacted my life in positive ways through fitness and nutrition. And in order to show my targeted demographic the value of my services, I am absolutely going to use the emotions that I've experienced to speak to that person's pain points. We can, however, draw the line between exploitive and ethical messaging. And in my opinion, the exploitive use of messaging towards the aforementioned emotions implies that masculinity is incomplete and something to be solved by purchasing and encouraging debt or positioning yourself as the only safe option for these individuals. Because yes, trans bodies build muscle or lose weight just like any other body. The principles remain the same, but the understanding you get from your coach differs drastically. And comparatively, I feel it's possible to draw on the emotions that I used to feel in the gym and around nutrition by acknowledging dysphoria without promising folks an identity change or that you'll suddenly pass or that you're suddenly worthy because you exchanged money for my services. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty confident that more often than not, my messaging comes across that way. Am I perfect? No. Have I gotten it wrong in the past? Probably. But I will continue to try my best to get it right in the future. And I really do believe that a lot of the trainers that Brown Guy mentioned in their video are doing the same as well. Now, of course, there are bad apples, but I'll get to that a little bit later in this video. I do want to get clear on who I'm targeting specifically though. That Brown Guy says that coaches like me are targeting young trans folks. While I don't have control over where my videos go from an organic standpoint, I am in no way trying to reach a younger demographic. Ideally, and probably selfishly, like any other coach or individual who provides a service, I want to find folks who can afford my services. While I don't like to assume anyone's financial situation, Typically, those folks that are fresh out of high school can't afford my coaching at this point in their life. This leads me into my second topic of rebuttal, being price gouging and price transparency. I really want to peel back the curtains here on the fitness industry so you as a consumer can get a clear picture of what industry standards are when it comes to price transparency across the board. That brown guy says that we as FTM trainers are exploiting our community by not being transparent with our pricing, saying, quote, refusing to even list a solid payment rate is at best tone deaf and at worst blatantly exploitive. Look, I've been in this industry for 8 years, coaching both in person and online. For both in-person and online coaching, price transparency does not typically exist until you walk through the door of that establishment or get on a phone call with that coach for 95% of organizations offering personal training. Honestly, that 95% may even be a conservative number. Let's take a look at a few examples from both in-person establishments and CIS online trainers. As we can see from 2 big name box gyms, you can't find pricing for their PT services on their websites. I also looked for a gym in a location that would likely have a cheaper price than that of boutique gyms here in Southern California. In this case, Houston, Texas. Again, no prices were listed. We can see this trend continue with 3 big name CIS fitness influencers. All 3 individuals don't list their pricing. And if this is the case for most trainers, both in person and online, and it's exploitive to the folks interested in that service, then it speaks to the system as a whole. And in my opinion, it's not really appropriate to label a certain group as exploitive when they are a symptom of the problem, not the problem itself. But is it even a problem at all? Sure, it definitely can be. Some fitness sales practices can be slimy as heck, continuing to try to overcome your objections until you feel pressured into buying. Ultimately, and unfortunately, bad apples exist everywhere. But why do coaches and gyms even do this? The main reason why coaches and gyms do this, in my opinion, is because most people hear a number and automatically dismiss the service. The industry standard is set up in a way to help people understand the value of the services that are being provided before giving them the price of said service. Again, in an attempt to be transparent, gyms do this to increase sales, period. There's no doubt about it. But if you're looking for a green flag of an online personal trainer, they will never pressure you into a sale. And even just taking myself as a personal example, I genuinely love chatting with potential new clients. It's one of my favorite parts of the process. I love hearing about what people do in their day-to-day life outside of their goals and their fitness and nutrition. We dive into their goals though, and the why behind them and why they're here, and then decide if coaching is right for them together. I then lay out the pricing, I explain what each price point includes, and I ask if there's one that resonates best for them. And then we either move forward with coaching or we don't. I don't stay on the phone trying to pressure people into sales, and good ethical coaches won't ever do that. They genuinely will have your best interest at heart and won't pressure you into something that isn't right for you financially. Now let's talk about price gouging. Are FTM trainers charging more than they should when compared to in-person training? Respectfully, that brown guy provides some grossly underestimated averages of what a typical in-person trainer costs, arguing that while yes, having a trans trainer provides a different level of understanding that you really won't find from a cis trainer, but if an in-person trainer is cis and cheaper than a trans trainer, why not just go with that option? They claim that, quote, potentially looking at $200 to $400 per month, with $400 obviously being in the higher range. Again, respectfully, I don't know what gym you can go to where you can get a personal trainer for $200 a month. In their video, they showed a wide range of national averages from $25 to $100 per session. $25 is a stretch, and I would be shocked if you could find that price. In my experience, that number is an outlier, not the average. Even if we conservatively say that the average cost of training is $40 per session, which it's likely closer to $50 or $60, that would be double the cost of what I personally charge. Most of my clients train 3 to 4 times per week. And if we take 3 times per week at $40, that would be $480 per month on the low end. Not to mention that number doesn't typically include nutrition or habit coaching. Even at $480 per month, that's a price I've never heard or seen in my time as a trainer. Granted, I've been a trainer in Southern California, typically at fancy boutique style gyms, but I'd love to hear from you if you've paid for personal training and it's been at or less than the price per month for 3 times per week. Look, I am not at all saying that the prices that some coaches are charging is justifiable. I have a master's degree in research of exercise science. Certified through NASM, I have 15 years of training, even though a lot of it was sports specific, and 8 years of coaching experience. And I can't imagine charging what some of these coaches are charging, trans or cis. With that being said though, choice still matters, but choice has to exist inside ethical guardrails, in my opinion. For me, that means I don't promise masculinity, I don't encourage debt, I don't pressure people to buy, and I'm honest about what coaching can and can't do. I very clearly set the expectations for my clients to understand. I personally would never use credit options to finance my coaching services, and I think that it's unethical to frame going into debt as self-love or commitment. I really try to balance needing to pay myself, because hi, we all need to make money, but making my services affordable to folks who are interested. And I think other good coaches will do the same thing as well. In my eyes though, if I have the opportunity to choose between a trans or cis trainer, or any service or product for that matter, I am absolutely choosing the trans or queer person. A, because I want to contribute to you getting that bag. And B, I will likely feel way more comfortable around you and understood than with a cis person. Now let's talk about the claims around the lack of individualized programming by these FTM coaches. For this topic, I can only speak from personal experience and advise you as the consumer on what to look out for when seeking online training, if that's something that interests you. That brown guy shares testimonials from folks online, their experiences with programs such as Masculinity Made and Alex Talinkta's programming, with a lot of folks feeling as though their experiences weren't tailored to them specifically, alleging that the customization of these programs was simply being asked if they wanted to cut, bulk, or even recomp. Let me give you though another peel back the layers, or the curtains if you will, on the inner workings of online personal training. Let's say I have a client who comes to me. They want to build a more masculine appearing physique, they want to lift 3 times per week, and they also train at Planet Fitness. And I've already built a program for another client who has those same exact needs and want to prioritize the same exact muscle groups. I am absolutely going to assign them that exact same program. That, however, doesn't account for the 12 weeks of communication, check-ins, exercise substitutions, habit and nutrition coaching, and the personal coaching that that specific client will get through those 12 weeks. Most of the time, however, after that initial program, we will switch things up, prioritizing new muscle groups and getting fresh movements involved. However, I may have a client, like a client I just built a program for, who has very specific needs. For this particular client, they have an anterior pelvic tilt, which a lot of us do, but this particular client was aware of this issue and wanted to work on it. So I incorporated specific exercises to do just that into her programming, which I don't do for most folks. All of this to say, if your trainer doesn't ask you where you work out and what specific needs you have, it's probably a cookie cutter system. They'll likely have a large roster of clients, and they will likely have other assistants or other people running their coaching side of their business for them so they can focus on content or vice versa. This isn't necessarily bad and it works for a lot of folks, but it just may not be right for you. To conclude, I don't think the real issue here is whether a coach is trans or cis. The real issue is whether they're operating ethically, just like any other business, just like any other practice. Fitness can be gender affirming. It can build confidence, autonomy, a better relationship with your body and your mind, but it should never be sold as a shortcut to identity, masculinity, worth, or any trait for that matter. And it definitely shouldn't come at the cost of financial harm, pressure, or false promises to the people interested in these services. There are bad actors in the fitness industry, period. There always have been, and there always unfortunately will continue to be. Some people overcharge, some people oversell. Some folks use shame, insecurity, or urgency to close sales. That, however, is not a trait that is unique to trans coaches. It's a systematic issue in an industry that often values profit over people. What matters here is where the line is drawn. For me, that line is very, very clear. I don't promise masculinity. I don't encourage debt. I don't pressure people into buying a product that isn't right for them. And I'm honest about what coaching can and can't do. Fitness is a tool, and it's a really powerful one, but it's not a replacement for therapy, hormones, surgery, or self-worth, most importantly. If coaching isn't financially accessible to you or anyone, that doesn't mean that you failed. It doesn't mean that you're not committed to what you're trying to accomplish. And it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It just means that that particular service isn't right for you at this current moment, and that should be okay. My hope is that instead of turning this into a conversation about which group is more exploitive, we start having better conversations about the ethical standards, informed consent, and what clients actually deserve from the people that they trust with their bodies. You as the consumer absolutely deserves as much transparency as possible. You deserve autonomy, and you deserve to feel at home in your body, with or without a coach. And I really hope this video came across in a way that wasn't shameful, but more so peeling back the layers of what the fitness industry standards actually are and helping folks understand that trans or FTM specific trainers aren't looking to exploit their community. This is just how the industry works. And I totally understand if we have issue with how the industry works. However, explicitly saying that it's trans folks in general who are doing this to their community, I think is kind of doing an injustice to a lot of the really fantastic work that people like myself and other trainers are doing as well to help people feel more confident and at home in their bodies through fitness and nutrition. Because I'm personally really proud of the work that I do. And I'm proud of it because I feel I show up in an empathetic, understanding, and ethical way as best as I can. I have absolutely failed in the past. I'm sure there are clients that have come through my program have felt disappointed by my services and felt like they didn't get what they needed from my coaching. But I'm always open to learning and hearing how I can do better as a coach and moving forward, trying to build the best services that I can to help the people around me in the same ways that I was able to help myself. Anyways, I hope this was informational and I hope people found it beneficial. Of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to leave them in the comments and I will respond to them as best as I can. As always, and as I will always say this on every single one of my channels, I believe in you. You are absolutely capable and I hope you're doing well. Okay, love you, bye.